Good evening. Welcome to the boys basketball portion of tonight's program. My name is AJ Bonnell. I'm the head coach, and I'm speaking on behalf of my assistant coaches, Jim Bonnell and Mark Sousa. We're here to talk about the 2020-2021 boys basketball team, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, the good moments, the bad moments, but most importantly, this group of young men that proved to be outstanding both on and off the court. For those of you that were with us last year, our 2020 campaign was abruptly cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We won our first round state tournament game, and then the season was canceled. It was a tragic way to end the season for sure, but we left that season with tremendous optimism, looking forward to this year ahead and the group of guys we were returning. The only question we had to figure out was, would there be a season? Of course, as time went on, we had to face a number of different restrictions, from not being able to gather in groups larger than 4, to not being able to be indoors. And there was a lot of obstacles in the way, but they were in the way for everybody for sure. We got word mid-January that we were going to have a season, be a shortened season with no state tournament, but once word got out, it was pretty clear that the guys were just excited to have the opportunity to play. Unfortunately, just before we got the season going, I got a phone call from our captain, Chad Suckley, to tell me that he had suffered a pretty gruesome ankle injury while outside in the driveway getting himself ready, which didn't necessarily get the season off to the best start, but no excuses, right? We play with who we got. So I want to first recognize the members of the team, to extend mine and our appreciation for their efforts, their commitment to the program, their commitment to being on time, doing things the right way, and making sure they were always eligible to be at practice, at games, etc. So, first off, our lone freshman, Josh D'Alessio. Josh, thank you for a great season. Look forward to your continued growth in the program. Next, we have Caden Jose. Caden made great strides this year, worked really hard. Jimmy and I always marvel at anytime there's a water break or anytime there's a break in the action. Caden's always finding a side hoop to work on the things that he feels he needs to work on the most. So thank you for your effort, Caden, and look forward to seeing your continued growth as well. Next up, we have Mylan Grant. Mylan's an A-plus kid, works extremely hard. Really came on as the second half of the season. As we got into the second half of the season, played some great basketball in the JV games for us. Just an outstanding young man with plenty of talent. Hoping he continues to progress nicely and offers us more in the years to come. Thank you, Mylan. Corbin Delane. Corbin's a quiet young man, but a gifted basketball player and a great teammate. I remember watching one JV game video in particular and marveling at how much his defense had improved. Everybody knew on our team and our program that Corbin could shoot it, but defense is something we take great pride in, and watching his transformation as a defensive player was really awesome. If you're wondering why I'm moving kind of funny, these lights are all motion censored, and I don't really want to go dark here. If it happens, we'll make it work. Next up, Morgan LeClaire. Morgan was a varsity team member as a sophomore. Did a lot of great things for us in practice. One of those kids that has a knack to always be around the basketball, always get his hands on it. Not the biggest guy in the gym, but doing battle with Keegan each and every day. He made Keegan work real hard to compete for everything, and really made the team better for his efforts in practice. And certainly his work in games was noteworthy as well. Thank you, Morgan. Mark Ayu. Mark's another guy that had a couple of injury bugs to battle, but he rode through it, fought hard, and was a tremendous asset for us in the JV team. Gifted shooter of the basketball, who is another young man who I'm hoping will take great strides to be a key contributor on the varsity team on his final 2 years in the program. Thank you, Mark. Joe Riccardella, Smooth Joe. Joe did a tremendous job, first and foremost in the offseason, getting himself in great shape, which matters a ton in this sport. Came back a completely different athlete, and it showed in his practice work and his gameplay. really impressed with Joe's efforts this year. And again, another young man that we're expecting big things from in the years to come. Thank you, Joe. Dylan Walmsley, man, one of the toughest kids in the league, without a doubt. Has zero fear. Got some nicknames for him that we probably can't repeat on here, but they all speak to his tremendous tenacity, toughness, fearlessness. Found the floor often, dove for everything. We're going dark here. We're back though, we're back. No big deal, make it work. What happens when we're live. Dylan Walmsley, when we needed him to pick up some JV minutes for us, he did, and he captained that ship. He knew that that group of guys was gonna be the group of guys he'd be leading these next couple of years. So thank you, Dylan, for your selflessness and a tremendous season. Next up, Mike Genovese. Mike was our leading scorer throughout most of the year. As a junior, he played behind a group of this year's seniors, that last year's juniors, and a big senior class. So this was really his first big time exposure to varsity basketball, and he wasted no time to get a reputation throughout the league for being a prolific scorer, tremendous shooter of the basketball. And again, you know, in our program, as with any program, we don't spend too much time focusing on the things our guys do really well, because they do them really well, and everybody knows it. So we're always talking about the areas in which they can improve, and for Mike, defense is one of them. And the second half of the season, he led us in steals and deflections, which is just a tremendous, tremendous testament to his dedication to that end of the basketball court. Look forward to Mike having a tremendous senior year for us after a really good junior year for us. So thanks, Mike. Looking forward to next year. Next up, we move on to our seniors. Something bittersweet about this process of coaching, teaching, you form these relationships with these young men, and they really and truly become part of your family. We keep in touch throughout the season, and I hope that continues long beyond this video, long beyond this year, because the impact that you've had on me, on my family, is immeasurable. And if you don't know that by now, then we've done a poor job of communicating that, but that's the truth. First up, we got Thunder Dan Suckley. You know, I feel like I'm doing senior night all over again, and I'm opening myself up to get choked up, but I'll try and fight it. Dan has just been a true team player since day one. Always smiling, always working hard, always doing the little things. He wouldn't talk back to anybody, no matter what the situation. He takes direction as good as anybody. He works as hard as anybody. Great teammate, great friend, and a real fire starter for us. He always kept energy up. One of the highest character kids you'll ever meet. I love you, Dan. Thank you for everything, and best of luck in the future. Next up, Nate Scarola. Nate's career began, you know, in terms of him finding his potential in the last half of his junior season, and he was like the only one that was surprised by his performance, because we who had been watching him, and I know from conversations with Dad too, we knew what was in there, and it's just a matter of him kind of coming to terms with the fact that he was a good ball player and trusted himself just enough to let it happen on a nightly basis. Nate provided great support for us on both ends of the floor all season long. When we were early in the season and down a couple bodies, he played a lot of minutes. Both ends of the floor, he was a warrior. Hit a big game winner for us against Wamogo. That was, you know, a moment I'll never forget, and I'm sure he won't either. One of the best kids I've ever met on and off the court. Nate, thank you for everything, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. Next up, we got Keegan Daigle, big fella. You know, without repeating too much what I said on senior night, Keegan came into our program as a freshman, determined to make his own legacy in our program as the third Daigle brother to come through, and he did just that. Keegan was a tremendous warrior. I was just saying yesterday, in 4 years in our program, I don't think he ever lost a sprint in practice. He was first every time. He took no plays off. The only guy harder on Keegan and me was Keegan, and that's something I hope he can shake as he goes on to the next phase of his competitive life next year at Avery Point. He's a talented athlete. Was our leading rebounder this year. One of the highest scorers I've coached. Finished with over 900 points in his career. Great kid. Potential future son-in-law. For those of you that don't know that, it's a conversation for another time. But Keegan, I love you. I thank you. And best of luck to you as you go forward, man. Great job. Next, Brendan Feiner. Bren, man, what a warrior. What a warrior. He started every game from his sophomore season on. Every game for us he was eligible. That excludes early season quarantine for us this year, which was, I'm sure, probably the toughest stretch of his competitive life. Sitting at home, watching us practice through a screen, watching us play on a live feed, and always hitting me with feedback on the game as soon as it was over. I would get into the office and pick up my phone. I have a sheet of notes from Bren tell me what we did right, what we did wrong, what he learned from it. And we certainly missed having him out there because he's just such a key cog in what we were doing on both ends of the floor. One of the toughest defenders I've ever coached. Wanted everybody's best player, and he dogged him for 32 minutes each and every night. True warrior, class act, wonderful young man, one of the funniest kids I've ever met. And I love you, Bren. Thanks for everything, man. Best of luck in the future. And as with everybody, we'll be in touch. Next up, Chad Suckley, lefty, 2-year captain, the most prolific scorer I've coached here since I've been at Thomaston. When people ask me about Chad, first thing I would always say is he's just really good at putting the ball in the basket. If you've watched him play, you've seen some shots that were unorthodox, deliveries were wacky, but somehow, some way, he found a way to get that round thing in the circular thing, as good as anybody I've ever coached and coached against. As I mentioned before, Chad's season got off to a tough start with an ankle injury right before we got going. But as soon as he came back, he made his impact felt. The first game back, we were playing Gilbert. We couldn't buy a bucket, and I was planning on using Chad sparingly because we had a rough stretch of games going up, and I thought we could hold our own with Chad playing a few minutes. And after we went scoreless for about the first 4 or 5 minutes, I said, all right, Chad, let's go get him. And he rattled off like 9 straight points, our first 9 points. And I said, all right, good to have the lefty back. Great kid, going on to play at Curry College next year. I look forward to following his career there and hopefully getting to see some games. And he still owes me some swag, but again, different conversation. Chad, thank you for everything. Great leader, great teammate, great player. I love you and I wish you the best of luck. Let's see here. Checking the list. All right, I'm down to the final two. Final two, in no particular order. First up, these last two gentlemen are my recipients of this year's Coaches Awards. The Coaches Awards are at the discretion of each coach to give 2 awards to 2 people on their team for whatever reason they see fit. These last 2 guys fit a mold that, in my opinion, were worthy of special recognition. First up, we've got Ty Harkness. Ty is, undoubtedly one of the most talented players I've ever coached. Had every skill imaginable, a great mind for the game, a great vision for the game, could shoot, could handle it, could defend, could rebound. And the only thing holding Ty back was he's got 2 bad knees, and certainly not his fault by any means, just some rough luck that he's got an 18-year-old's body with an 80-year-old man's knees. We had to monitor his minutes. Quite frankly, in the preseason, we didn't know if he'd play. We didn't know if he did play, for how long and how effective he'd be. And I remember in that first week when Bren was home, and when Chad was sidelined with the ankle injury, we had Wamogo on opening night, or we had Litchfield on opening night, a team that's been competitive and tough for us for years. And Ty put on a heck of a show on that opening night. Was just relentless, and every time we needed a big bucket, Ty was there to answer the bell. As long as I live, I'll never forget these moments on the sideline where I'm like, you know, Jimmy will say, "You got to take Ty out, like he's hurting," and I'm like, I know, and I would take him out. We're dark again. We're back. I would take him out and say, "Ty, how you feeling?" And Ty would always tell me, "I'm good, coach, I'm good." I'm like, "Well, you don't look good." He's like, I'm good. And just when it seemed like he had nothing left to give, he always found something. Down at Wamogo, made a big three to tie it, made free throws late to tie it, you know. And if you could understand the true gap he was at because of those knees, what he did was just next level impressive. One of the greatest young men I've ever met, on and off the court. Great family man, great teammate, and got the biggest heart you could imagine. So my first Coach's Award recipient this year, Ty Harkness. Ty, I love you. Thank you for everything. Congratulations and best of luck next year. My final player and my other Coach's Award recipient is Ryan Bethan. My video is already way too long, but I could equal the length that I've already taken up just talking about Ryan. The unsung hero of the school, the unsung hero of every team he played on. I remember when he was a freshman, we were sitting up in the bleachers at Lewis Mills, was talking with some parents about that group of freshmen and how talented they were and how much potential they had. And someone said to me, like, you know what you're getting in Ryan, will work really hard, not much of a scoring threat, but a great defender and a tough kid. And I said, okay, you know, those kind of kids, they factor on every team. But as time wore on, Ryan played every part of the game at a high level. We laugh and joke about he had some of the biggest shots, the biggest moments in a Thomason jersey these last 2 years. He might go 3 weeks and score 6 points, but all 6 points were huge. Took more charges than anybody in program history. Second place being his brother. Found the floor whenever necessary. Bodied guys up twice his size. Just the toughest kid you'll ever meet. The nicest kid you'll ever meet. The most selfless kid you'll ever meet. I'm humbled to have had the opportunity to coach Ryan. Like the rest of the guys, love him like family. We'll miss him dearly. And every future Thomason athlete will know Ryan Bethan's name, for he set the standard, in my opinion, for what true excellence looks like in the category of work ethic, selflessness, and being a teammate. So Ryan, thank you for everything. Congratulations. To all the guys, I love you. I miss you. I wish we were still playing right now. And I'll miss those seniors when you're gone, but you got my number. It's never goodbye. We're always there for each other. Best of luck in the future. Have a great summer. We'll see you all next year. Thank you.